Welcome to The Downtown, brought to you by Arlington Citizen Media. I am Daryl Smith Jr., and all the way across the room from me is...
I am Rody John, and next to me kind of is...
Amy.
In today's show, we talk to Mark Joeckel, the general manager of the Arlington Music Hall in downtown, and also the founder of Arlington Proud, an incredible community building organization.
We also make another stop on the Tournament of Toppings with some sweet, sweet za from Moni's.
And we sat down with the Office of Emergency Management to discuss their recent EMAP reaccreditation, being prepared in the event of an emergency, and the years of preparation it took to plan an event like the Super Bowl. Also, we want to say a special thank you to my friend Rachel, who makes our t-shirts. You can find her business at Simply Simmons Designs on Facebook and Instagram. We love the shirts.
Love the shirts.
So many compliments. People are digging them. So thank you so much.
Another special thank you to a local photographer and friend, Sora Babbitt, who came to the Arlington Music Hall yesterday and took some great pictures of us just as a favor. Highly recommend his work. You can find his Insta at Sora, S-O-R-A, _ Eros, A-R-O-S 1.
Amazing pictures. Really captured our souls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the lighting at the Arlington Music Hall kind of gave us a
nice ambiance.
Yeah, and he
not
captured
great
it
for
really well. No, not super great for pictures, but he captured it really well. And thank you for both of y'all for helping us out and believing in what we do, and we really appreciate it.
Help them, help us. We are here with Mark Joeckel, the general manager of Arlington Music Hall, which thank you very much for allowing us to be recording here on your stage.
Well, I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah. How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
So how did you end up here at Arlington Music Hall?
Well, I grew up here in Arlington, so it's kind of a crazy story because as a kid I used to come here as movies. So this was a movie theater from 1950 to about 1979 or so. So this is the place. I lived right down the street, and me and my friends would ride our bikes over here. So,
Oh, wow.
Like Legend of Boggy Creek, I remember watching here, and The Blob, and all the 70s blockbusters. This was the only movie theater in Arlington at the time. So
Oh, wow.
Very old school.
I've seen like some like pictures of like people being like just outside for like
It's
outside.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
How
So
long have you been in Arlington?
we moved here in 1971. So we lived in California, and my family, I've got 3 brothers and sisters, and my dad was pastor at Grace Lutheran Church on Park Grove for about 35 years. So parents still live in the same house in Central Arlington, and so this is home.
Very nice.
So a few years ago, as I was starting to kind of research like community building and reading about pilot programs and all this other bottom-up community building, I heard about Arlington Proud, and it was immediately like into and drawn to what you were trying to do. So what inspired you to start that?
Well, my whole career, I was as a pastor, I was an inner city church planter. So I've worked in the inner city of St. Louis and in New Orleans and both Dallas and Fort Worth. And what I saw in those communities is it's oftentimes these big outside-in projects these developers and the cities want to do. And forever they've tried them in our urban communities. It doesn't work because it's not a bottom-up. So outsiders come in, they tell the people what needs to happen. They don't get input and put millions and millions of dollars into projects that fail because it's not a bottom-up. It's not a resident-led. So the whole philosophy of resident-led movements is what I came across through John Perkins and some guys out of Chicago and Jackson, Mississippi, who I started reading early off and saw how what's successful is when the residents own whatever the initiative is. And so that's what really stimulated it. And so in New Orleans, I saw the same thing happening in St. Louis, and then here in Dallas and Fort Worth. And it's really chronic, and it happens in every city. It happens here in Arlington, where big publicly funded projects are supposed to be the panacea and fix everything.
Right.
And local people aren't involved, so it's not really sustainable. It's not sustainable economic development. So that's why we started Arlington Proud, because city entities don't have that approach, just because they're not created that way.
So talk about Arlington Proud. What is that? Where can people find it?
Sure. Well, we really blew up on social media, and that was the early years of Facebook. So, we're up to we have about 28,000 followers on Facebook, and
Wow.
4,000 or 5,000 on Instagram, and a few thousand on Twitter too. So we're all over social media, and it's all volunteers. None of us get paid for doing it. So it's a group of passionate people of creative types who get it that it has to be locally initiated. It's got to be from that community, and that's really the success of it, because we do it organically. You guys are very familiar with Arlington Nights, and David has been a cohort in this stuff since the very get-go. Him and I met because he had a passion for music and local and Arlington, and so we connected, and we do a ton of stuff together.
Right.
Now, the main thing people look forward to in the springtime is the East Main Art Festival. And then, so how many people work on this behind the scenes, and then how did it come together?
Sure. Well, one of the things, a philosophy of Arlington Proud is creating local wealth. So people talk a lot about economic development, and our philosophy is making it sustainable is the organic nature of it. So one of the ways to make that happen so that artists and creative types especially will move to Arlington is have a place for them to make a living. So we do that in a variety of ways, helping push the local music scene, but in specific for the creative types and our artists in the community, start creating ways for them to make money. And that was, a festival is a good way to do that. And so we began that festival, and you don't have to be from Arlington, but that's how it starts. And so, last year it was about $160,000 economic development impact on the city. But it was all money, and when I talk about sustainability, it's all money that's recirculated here.
Right.
So like when these big movements happen and big corporations relocate, most of the time the executives or the $190 million payroll of the Cowboys, none of that money stays here. They live in other places.
Right.
And all of our money goes to these other communities. So I did a study on all of our publicly funded initiatives here, and it's about $1 million a day that drives out of Arlington. When you look at all the payroll of really none of the executives, all the people that make the huge bucks, they don't live in Arlington. So we subsidize all of these entities, and quite frankly, what we end up getting out of it is seasonal jobs that are minimum wage or basically, in that $8 to $15 range. So that's an example of it's not sustainable because the money, the city of Arlington, we've invested over $1.5 billion out in this 2 square miles out here, and the money leaves town. So there are some, tax revenue increases, but we also took all that property off the property taxes too. So there's millions that don't come in because of that. So what this does, it initiates the local stimulation of art, and how we factor that is it's an average about $250 that each artist spends to get their booth up and running. And so you start looking at all these things they're doing locally, then so many of them live here in Arlington, so the sales of everything stays here, and they go buy more.
Absolutely.
Art,
I have
products,
a question.
etc. Yes.
What is your favorite pizza place in Arlington?
Now that's very random, but the Maverick Thin Crust.
I've had Mavericks.
Wait,
the old Mavericks
Thin Crust, no,
kitchen or the
Maverick
new ones
Thin
now?
Crust changed its name. It's on Abram there. Subs and Suds is what its
old
name
school.
used to.
Old school. Yes.
school.
Sorry,
So
I
the
was thinking the
Maverick
Mavericks
Thin
bar.
Crust, no onions is my go-to, and
That's a good
it's
one.
fantastic.
Right.
What's next for you in the city of Arlington? How do you want to keep help build the city that we live in, that we all live in?
Well, this opportunity here, when I was offered this position as general manager, it really came out of nowhere. I was doing a daily TV and radio show for, I did about 600 episodes of the Mark Joeckel show, and that was on 870 AM, and then it was also on a daily on TV channel 55. And so through that whole process, I built a lot of new relationships as well, but I was loving doing that. But this offer came to me, wasn't really looking for anything else, but this is going to become quite the place to generate to the next level, because this place becomes that stepping stone for many of our local musicians. So I think Sveni Baby Victor was even on the episode today. So now that I've got my head above water, our bread and butter here is traditional country, rock
Right.
and roll national touring acts. So
Right.
like last year, we sold 33,000 tickets, about 1.8 million in ticket sales.
I've been here 3 times, I think, last year.
Oh, did you come? Yeah. Great shows.
My parents love this place, too.
This
so.
is a tremendous venue. But now that I've kind of proven I can do that, and we done well and grew, did twice as many shows last year as we did
Awesome.
the year before. So now we're able to step out and do some more local stuff. So this facility is one of the greatest venues in the state
Absolutely.
of Texas.
Yes.
And so now we're reaching out, and this gets back to what my next phase and what can happen here in Arlington. To have a venue like this becomes what many cities have, that really become that launch pad
I can see that.
for that. So like Speedy Baby, I booked them for December 27th.
Ooh.
And
breaking news.
It'll be a full-time Friday night, not a Wednesday night, not a Tuesday.
That's perfect.
Weekend.
But Victor's going to get like 7 other bands together to do a showcase. So it's going to be
Okay.
a rockin' night of all local music.
Awesome.
And then it gets to the next level where I've got to prove to others that we can make money doing this.
Exactly.
So we believe an event like that, we're going to be able to get 250, 300 people out. You know, we can't charge the prices of national touring acts because front row seats on our big shows are $169.
Right.
So we're going to do a $10 ticket, $10 general admission ticket, and go from there. So this will be our first proof case. You know, open our bar and concessions, try to sell a lot there too. So having this platform is really going to help with launching musicians. Like back in the day on this stage, for instance, Maren Morris got her start here. Casey Musgraves got her start here.
Right.
Miranda Lambert, Blake Shelton. The list goes on and on. Kelly Clarkson performed here.
Ooh, I love Kelly Clarkson.
So historically, this has been, when Johnny High's Country Music Review was here, this has been a launch pad, and we're going to return to that for launching local musicians.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
And we'll
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and we'll continue doing the East Main Art Fest. And
Good.
I was at the very first meeting in 1986 for the first planning meeting of South by Southwest. I lived in Austin from 82 to 86. And that's why I tell this story, because you know, there's a group of knuckleheads, just like the people we've gathered together here in Arlington, no different, creative types who love music, wanted to make Austin more known for their emerging music scene. You know, and that goal that first year was 250 people for the first South by Southwest.
Wow.
You know, so when we started the East Main Festival, I said, you know, this can grow. You know, this last year we had 7,000 at it.
It was very. We were there. It was very.
I've been to the
packed.
last, I think, 3, and it's gotten bigger
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
It's great.
But the things
really
we're going to
great.
start adding on to that, and once again, utilization of this place is one of the first steps outside of music that South by Southwest did, was starting to bring in experts in the industry to have you know, dialogue, and to have, of course, this place is a perfect location for those
Absolutely.
kind of
I think
TED
so.
Talk kind of things.
And we are so thankful for you to provide this. And where can people find Arlington Proud and the Arlington Music Hall?
On social media, we're Arlington Proud on all of the platforms. So any of the platforms, if you just put in Arlington Proud, you're going to find it. And then arlingtonmusichall.net has
Great.
all our shows. And
Thank
so,
you so
nonstop.
much. Mark Joeckel,
Thanks for
thank
having
you
me.
so much.
You
We
guys have a
really
great
enjoyed
day.
it.
Thanks, sir.
You too.
All right.
We are outside Moni's Pizza on Randall Mill and Almost Fielder.
Almost Fielder.
Almost Fielder.
Not quite.
And we're with Arlington Distorted.
2/3.
Co-create Arlington.
Co-create Arlington.
Co-create
We're going through a
Arlington.
rebrand. We'll get there.
Our
Yeah.
photographer's rolling up on his motorcycle right now.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just
Cigarette
had
mouth.
pizza and appetizers.
Yeah, we had a few, 3 pizzas and some calamari. Calamari was great. It was crispy. It wasn't too chewy, but it was still chewy.
Right.
The sauce was with it was subtle. You know.
It was
All right.
good. It was good calamari for sure.
Yes. So our categories, as you know, run from experience. And what did we give that?
It was I think it was a 4.
Give it a 4.
Really great atmosphere. They have a great mural.
Yeah.
Full of Italian Americans, famous
Strong
Italian Americans,
Italian Americans.
And it's
Yeah.
hand painted.
hand painted.
And